Hey guys, and I'm here. So, there's not much going on. I know there's a primary going on right now, and that one, I don't see anything. It's just kind of giving us tallies of what's going on, so I don't really see much. I know that this is Quinikiak talking about it. Well, the technically it's the Hills Decision Desk, which is about Nebraska and West Virginia. So they're talking about, I guess, their primaries, but there's not like much going on today. Like it's not as exciting as it was yesterday. Yesterday was like super, super fun. But yeah, sometimes it happens. Usually I expect this on Mondays, but it is what it is, guys. So now, what we're going to do is we're just going to do rando stuff. So I have this video from We Are Change. Go ahead and like and subscribe to him. He's pretty cool. And so he's doing a video about the bomb that just dropped. I don't know. But we're going to go ahead and jump into the video.
Aliens confirmed now more than ever through documentaries and Hollywood movies. What in the world's going on here? As allegedly the President of the United States is soon set to make an announcement in a speech that aliens are real. All of this is happening as, of course, we have the Sleeping Dog documentary that is raising a lot of eyebrows as the maker of that movie is saying the truth will be released with government or without, as it looks like the intelligence agencies are getting cold feet when it comes to some of these disclosures and releases, as we have some bombastic, crazy, wild comments from Congressman Tim Burchett and Anna Paulina Luna that have been on the forefront of this larger disclosure fight that looks like is going to be spread out and released in small little tidbit ways, building up to some grand crescendo. What in the world's going on here? Well, we are going to be doing our best to try to make sense of all of it here on this independent media broadcast. If you appreciate that, subscribe, click the notification button. We greatly appreciate you subscribing to our channel that's been on for 21 years talking about this very particular subject. Of course, this subject has definitely changed in the discourse, as the government and the media usually said, "You're crazy. You believe in aliens? You're insane." And now the government's like, aliens, they exist. Look at that. What's going on here? Let's try to make sense of it. Now, anonymous accounts are saying sources close to the president. People are just making it up. I haven't seen official confirmation of this, that Trump is preparing a speech. But if you think about Trump, he loves to be on the forefront. He loves to have his legacy. He loves to be the person that, of course, is able to initiate and do these things and take credit for them. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that Trump would give such a speech. What would he say in it? I don't know. The latest disclosures are a little bit insignificant, to say the least here, as Congressman Eric Burleson released this video about how he would imagine a Trump speech on aliens coming out.
Okay, we have it in our sight. Fire, boom.
Yeah, that's a video, by the way, of the U.S. government shooting an unidentified craft with an advanced U.S. missile systems that bounced off at whatever this thing was. As Eric Burleson also says, the first batch of UAP files released was just, quote,
"Why are these files coming out?"
Low-hanging fruit, saying that the deeper investigation is into the partnership between government agencies and private contractors like RAND, Maitri, and Lincoln Labs, as a lot of people have been talking about reverse engineering alien tech or advance American alien tech by the military-industrial complex that really is these type of, quote, aliens. Now, what's going to be the result of these aliens? That's going to be the thing that's going to give us answers to what's really going on here. So far, we're still in the middle part of trying to be like, okay, where are we going? What's going to happen? What's going to be released here? As this is what he had to say on News Nation.
Why are these files coming out in drips instead of one big release?
There's so many different government agencies, and they have different layers of security, different layers of clearances. For example, the Department of Energy has an entirely different clearance structure. The first videos that came out are the low-hanging fruit, the videos that the department...
And we saw Congressman Tim Burchett that says, yeah, these are nothing. There's going to be a holy cow moment with these files, allegedly.
Department of War had readily available, and frankly, that were easily searchable by terminology like UAP and UFO. So now that those video files and documents have been released, it's going to take a little bit more of a deeper dive and investigation. And I believe the real information is going to lie somewhere in between this government and the private sector. So we have what's called federally funded research and development centers, companies like Rand Corporation, MITRE Group, MIT Lincoln Labs, and they have kind of coordinated this government effort with the private industry. A lot of them are doing this secret work, and I've sent letters to be able to get them to release some of these documents and videos as well.
Is that why some whistleblowers and government agents working on advanced tech were recently suspiciously missing or allegedly self-exited? As Dr. Stephen Greer talked about how this slow rollout, which is supposed to happen within the next few weeks, within the next few days, is something that undermines the credibility here of the President of the United States. Personally, I just don't like a slow rollout. You got something, share it. Like, what do you got? Why do you keep hiding your cards? Why do you keep anticipating this? As some people are arguing that American people can't handle the truth, and that we need to slowly acclimate them towards this larger understanding, as there's also been meetings with allegedly religious pastors to prepare their flock about outside type of different non-human life forms that coexist with us, as we had members of Congress talk about specifically 4 of them. We talked about them in previous videos here. But the slow rollout, not good here, because it leaves a lot of room for manipulation, especially amongst a lot of corrupted people in the military-industrial complex that probably want to cover up some of their tracks when it comes to probably some corruption.
So I'm going to be honest, I was disappointed on Friday with this UFO disclosure.
Supposedly this Friday or next Friday we're going to get more. I'm with this guy. We got some videos, right? We got, oh, look, they went to the moon. I'm like, oh, goodness, really? This one? We're going to have to debate this one now. At the moon, they found these lights of these other things. What are they?
Yep, that's what they were saying.
It's like, okay, you document dumped some stuff, and you never gave us context. You never even explained what was going on.
Even the new name bothers me, how we now have to call them UAPs and not UFOs anymore. Like, guys, the name was fine. Just like they are still homeless people. They're not the unhoused. Democrats want us to call them the unhoused.
Yeah, the whole renaming of this makes you kind of like a little suspicious here. Now, before getting into that, and members of Congress coming out and talking about how this is going to be slow released to everyone, with other members of Congress warning that there's censorship already happening. Before getting into that and a lot more, just really quickly, check out wearechange.shop. It's my shop, it's my store. I like my products. I take my products like magnesium glycinate. I really do.
Okay,
not just the magnesium glycinate. 93 today. I like showing it off. I'm sorry. Every time I get a chance to talk about health and personal well-being, it's a personal journey of mine since I was really unhealthy before. I'm getting there, and I'm living a very active lifestyle. I prioritize my sleep. I feel incredible. I feel awesome. I avoid all the poisons as much as I can.
Let's go.
Now, Congressman Eric Burleson has been really the one speaking out about this. He's talking about how there's going to be UFO files every 2 weeks now, as we have other members of Congress talking about the big things coming and how intelligence agencies are blocking already big portions of evidence.
Denied access to the SCIF, and so to my knowledge, what's going to happen now is not only do we have the support of the chairman, but they're going to get a nice letter from Congress, and as you heard, Representative Ogle said if we're denied, we're going to...
Republicans love their nice letters. If Republicans are good at one thing, it's sending strongly worded letters.
For real.
Subpoenas? Like, where's the DOJ on this?
Use the Holman rule will defund the position.
And I was told by leadership that it was blocked by the intelligence community, not the intelligence committee. But
where's Tulsi Gabbard? Where's the DNI chief here? Can she explain some of this stuff?
Intelligence community, and that is a very chilling effect. Someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something. You got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And I think it'd be wise.
Yeah, who is in control? The president of the United States says, I'm releasing these files. And then it's like, here's a little part. Here's a little footage. You try to make sense of this. We'll do it later. What? Now, granted, this has been going on for quite a long time. Trump has been doing his best to try to release the JFK files under his first administration. He said he's going to do it. The CIA said, no, he's not. Then he didn't. Second time around, he released them, but not the full files. I talked to people who have great, extensive knowledge and were even inside of many important administrations beforehand that knew there's a lot more dirt in there that was released to the general public. And don't even get me started on the Epstein files. And I said in the very beginning, one, skepticism all out throughout all of this, which you need, right? Governments aren't usually transparent based on their own type of whim, based off their own type of volition. There's usually something underlining behind it. Two, it's probably going to be an ish show because the government is not good at being transparent, especially, let's be honest, this administration. But still a lot better than, of course, what would have happened under Kamala Harris. Yeah, sure, okay. But it's like we're getting like these like things that we have to interpret ourselves and these half-truths. Still better than nothing. Okay, granted. Okay, granted. I'll give you that. But at the same time, it's like, we want the whole enchilada here. Give the American people what they need. Give them the answers. Give them the conclusions to be able to understand what's really happening in this world. Is, of course, we pay the government. It's our money. They're supposed to represent us, not hide information from us.
For you all to start looking at some financial disclosures
Kind
of
of
some of those
reminds me of like
some of
the way
people who
Alex
do the
Jones started,
stonewalling
you
in
know?
this town. And that's what we're going to start doing. We're going to start talking to people. We're going to start naming names. Yeah, I want you to think about this.
I love Tim Burchett, man. Shouts out to these people. I appreciate them putting their necks on the line here. Tim Burchett was on the Joe Rogan podcast talking about threats he's gotten and other people who were his friends that came to him that told him, hey, this is not, you better stop doing this. He hasn't stopped doing this. Now he's threatening to name names. Good.
Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil, and American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
That's right. Same. Shouts out to Congressman Tim Burchett, man. The guy's balls. You can see he just doesn't give a F anymore. And what happens if the aliens have advanced tech that, of course, we reverse engineer? That highlights how we have propulsion, free energy type of tech. As, of course, Catherine Austin Fitts, a government whistleblower, which we interviewed here, talked about how there's a lot of free energy stuff already out there. And the Pentagon is building whole huge underground facilities that are run by this type of free energy type of tech that would make oil obsolete here. And now we have the Sleeping Dog documentary that just came out from Jeremy Corbell. He's doing a lot of interviews. He was just on TMZ. He was just on the Benny Johnson show. As, of course, in that documentary, there's allegedly new the UAP video footage that Congress demanded that allegedly shows crystal clear orbs, ocean shadows, triangle formations, and other types of videos. Now, there are other countries releasing other stuff, but I found him saying this pretty interesting on the Benny Johnson show.
What have you seen? Can you please color what have you seen that has sort of made you stand with your jaw agape?
There have been some shocking moments in my investigations. I think that if what I have seen is put out to the American public, I believe it will be initially shocking. I do think that it is so hard to trust right now. It is so hard to trust your own eyes and what you hear from people. I think...
Yeah, that's because the government has been lying to us for a very long time.
I think there needs to be a large amount of evidence that is put forward to the American people.
In a way where we can actually make sense of it. Not like, oh, here's this, here's that. So here's some fake stuff, too.
In order for it to really sink
where we can actually make sense of it.
I've been exposed to a lot, Benny, when it comes over the years of my work, and some of it you can't trust, but I have really good sources, and so does George. We've verified a lot of it you can trust. So I guess the short answer to your question, if you're asking, what have I seen? I've seen absolute convincing evidence that we are being visited, or that there are others that are here, and the intent, where they're from, I don't know those answers, but I know that some people do, and I know that within our government are some of those answers, and the American people don't have just like a right to know. I think at this point we have a need to know.
Yep, and then he specifically talked about, even if the government does block it, there'll be other forms of journalism that will be done here that, of course, will release this. That was the big point that he mentioned on the TMZ interview.
They're here, meaning that they didn't just accidentally crash land and this wasn't some gas station stop, that they're here on purpose and they're living amongst us, Jeremy?
You know, I don't know. That is something that people claim. You know, let me give you an example. In 2004, the Tic Tac UFO event became very, very famous. A good friend of mine, Commander David Fravor, he chased a UFO for the United States military. Now, these things were above 80,000 feet. So, you know, that means essentially space. And they were dropping down to sea level like that, less than a second, no sonic boom, instantaneously.
Yep, this is the first time I ever heard about this was from William Cooper, U.S. Naval Intelligence, passed away right after 2001 after he predicted the events in New York City in a shootout.
Crazy.
With police. And You Open, Behold a Pale Horse, the book, great book. I read it when I was very young, and it was extremely influential to who I am today. This guy was laying out all the secrets. This guy was laying out all the stuff. And again, you read the book, you're like, what? These like football-sized craft going in and out of the oceans. He started off his book like that in the 1990s talking about this. So this has been something that's been going on for quite a long time. More precisely, ever since the 1940s, ever since the development and the use of nuclear weapons, which a lot of people believe that there's a correlation with.
But they weren't just dropping down. They were, the words given to me were docking with, somehow docking with something under the water. Within intelligence.
Now, some people are going as far as to say whole civilizations underwater, like Atlantis. Like the lost civilization of Atlantis is still out there. They're far more advanced, but now they're just underwater. Or different creatures of beings, of life.
I don't know. I think Atlantis would be cool.
That coexist with us, but on a different interdimensional type of plane.
Intelligence agencies, this is a known secret. So they're doing something. That was some sort of operation. So whatever is going on with these non-human intelligence, with these craft of unknown origin, there is a purpose. But what that purpose is, I just don't know.
Fascinating. Utterly fascinating. I'm excited. You know, I'm excited over it, and I do think that this is something that we do have maybe a historic opportunity to reveal what the government has been doing. Some people have made some crazy claims on our show, like there's alien breeding programs. Have you ever seen anything like that?
So, you know, I've never been briefed.
That I wouldn't be surprised of.
Congressman Matt Gaetz,
Think about like all other movies of aliens. Like that sounds like something that would be possible.
Of UFOs and what's been going on. It's been so stigmatized for so long. I'm really going after the nuts and bolts and trying to build upon that. Every option is open until we have the core understanding. That's what I mean by freedom of thought. Like if we don't have the information, we can't have debate. We can't have speech. We can't have the scientific community looking at all of this. And look, this is why like really Sleeping Dog comes at the most perfect time. Journalism at its best doesn't just report on power, it moves power. So if you watch Sleeping Dog closely, it's going to provoke more releases. That was the purpose of why we put it out. If we keep the pressure on, more records will come out. And again, I am sure if they show the good stuff, some of it will be shocking.
What's the good stuff? And what are the intel agencies hiding from all of this? That's the question. As of course, Benny Johnson looks like he knows a lot more than he's letting on to. As the question kind of remains here. Why in the world has this been kind of happening the way it has? It's been happening ever since the 2024 election. Now, a lot of the videos that we're getting are from 2024. That's election season, right? Why were UAPs documented as much as they were? Why were they talked about as much as they were? Why were there so many sightings in 2024? Why are we getting videos from 2024?
Yeah.
What happened that year? The aliens were more active than ever before. That's a question that I personally have that I think is worth looking into. Is of course my kind of thesis, and I told this to Charlie Kirk when we were on stage when he was still alive at the TPUSA event, right in 2024. I said maybe this is a message by the military-industrial complex or the type of private contractors and intel agencies that wield all this like secret advanced military tech, that they're really in charge here, that they were kind of signaling like to Trump, like, hey, You have your ideas of what you want to do, but look what we're able to do. Look at the tech we have. Look at the kind of saber rattle that they had internally within the true kind of power structures of government to say we're in charge. We're the bad guy. We're the ones that can have all these capabilities, not you. That's a theory that I had. And then now, within the last few weeks, months, J.D. Vance, Barack Obama, Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, all but confirm aliens are real. You think Trump's not going to give a speech on that? I think he will. What do you think is going to be happening next? Will more information be hidden? Or will...
Yeah, when it comes to UFOs, honestly, okay, I'm going to give you guys a little story time. So back in like the late 90s, I was I was still a kid. And we had just gotten like a camcorder and we were cruising around Chicago because, you know, that's what you did as a kid. That you just like as a teen, you would just cruise around everywhere. And so I was just recording everything. And I remember looking up and we were like, I think, was it the Dan Ryan? I know it's one of the overpasses. And so I was recording up at the sky because, you know, I love looking at the sky. I like astrology, stars, yada, yada. And so I remember looking up and I seen like what looked like an orb, but it was like in the sky. And then it just like zigzagged and just like bolted. And I was like, and mind you, I had the camera at the time and I was recording it. I don't have the film. I don't even know what happened to it, to be honest. But I remember seeing it, you know, back then. And then another incident that we had was we were in Chicago, like by Little Italy, and we were at my girl's house, and my girl is what I mean. If y'all don't know Chicago lingo, that's like me saying my friend. She's actually my bestie. But we were at her house, and she lives like on the second or third floor, and we were just looking out because, you know, it was raining that day. And then all of a sudden, it was like all the noise just faded away, and we're just standing there, like me, her, and my dude, and we're just like looking out, and all of a sudden it got really quiet. And then we heard like what you see on videos where they talk about hearing like a trumpet sound, and we're just like looking around like, what? Like, that's crazy. And we would just look at each other and be like, did you hear that? And they're like, yeah. And we're like, what the hell? And it like, I think sounded like twice, maybe 3 times. I don't remember because it was a while ago. And then all of a sudden, once it stopped, everything kind of just came back into focus. It was kind of weird, guys. Very weird. Like, I love talking about paranormal stuff because, you know, I've had so many experiences. I don't think I've really talked about it. You know, I've talked about it in some videos that I've done, but I don't think I've really talked about it on this channel. At least not, I don't think, in a live. But yeah, you know, I do like talking about all this stuff because I am definitely intrigued. I love going ghost hunting. I've had experiences, you know, because of like, for example, like, my aunt had taken us, which she probably shouldn't have, because I think I was like 7 or 9 at the time. She was babysitting us, and she took us to this place where she was doing an exorcism. Yeah. And so she brought us into the house where the exorcism was happening, and she just told us not to move. She was telling us, you know, to just, you know, keep praying, and whatever we hear, just ignore it, you know. And I had such a crazy experience. At the time, you know, one of my sisters were with me, and we were just like, I was just remembering I was there and I was praying, and I could hear things around me telling me like, oh, God doesn't love you. He's not going to protect you. We're going to kill you, stuff like that. And it was like really creepy. And I know what y'all thinking, you know, I have a good imagination. I ain't going to deny that. I definitely do. But all of a sudden I felt my sister get up, and then all of a sudden I heard her, like the front door, I heard it close, and I'm just like, oh crap, she left me. Oh my God, like what's going to happen to me? So I just kind of squeezed my eyes tight and just kept saying like the Lord's Prayer. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't know how long it was, but I had my eyes closed, and all of a sudden I get a tap on my shoulder, and I was like freaking out. So I was like, oh my God, what touched me? And my eyes just like popped open, and I look over, and it's my aunt. She's like, where's your sister? And I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I heard the front door, but I don't know. And so we went to the front, And my aunt would say to my sister, like, what are you doing out here? And she's like, I don't know. And I told her, bro, you literally were next to me and you walked away. She's like, I don't remember walking away. I don't remember even how I got here. But it was crazy, guys. Like, that was my experience. I heard like craziness coming from the room. It was just such a scary experience. So ever since that experience, it caused me to want to dive deeper into the paranormal. So that's when, I started going ghost hunting. I ain't gonna lie, guys. I got in trouble for it, but I did play with the Ouija board. My mom was so pissed at me. I even bought a book because my dude's best friend, he was a practicing witch, I guess warlock would be the better term. And he was telling me about a book that he found, which was like the Necronomicon. And this one was written in weird language, and it was, if you guys see it, I wouldn't recommend reading out of it, read it in your head, but I wouldn't recommend reading out of it out loud. But it would tell you the history of it, and it was saying who it was written by, what happened to each person that tried to put this in print and stuff like that. And so, I was delving into that one. I was just kind of going everywhere, trying to kind of get, I guess, a deeper meaning of my experiences that I kept running into with not only the demonic, but spirits themselves. And I was questioning a lot of this stuff. So I think that's why I'm still intrigued by it. I'm definitely one of those people who looks at everything and tries to see what's on the other side, where the people I'm with, like my dude, he's more of a skeptic. So he's more like, when we go ghost hunting, he'll be like, if we're in a room and I'll be like, oh my God, it got cold in here. And he'll be like, yeah, because there's probably a window open. And he'll start walking around looking, seeing why the temp dropped. He'll check the apps to see oh, did the weather change outside? So he's very good at debunking stuff. There have been times where he couldn't debunk stuff, but when we went to Bachelor's Grove, definitely was an experience for both of us. He couldn't deny that one. But if y'all don't know what it is, look it up. Bachelor Grove in Illinois. That is a great one to go visit. But yeah, we've had lots of experiences. So I'm very intrigued by this stuff. Aside from conspiracies, I love conspiracies. So I'm just curious about all this stuff that's coming out now because of the fact that they released the UFO files. So we got this from Glenn Beck, and he's not the only one that's been talking about this. Tim Pool actually made mention of this as well, in regards to meetings that, the government had with different, I guess, religious pastors, which is crazy because how do they know which ones to pull? That's my thought. It's okay, you're calling religious leaders in. How do you know which ones to pull in? Are you pulling in the Pope? What evangelists are you pulling in? What, Baptists, whatever they call them in, is it just secular to the Jewish and Islamic and Christian and Catholic faith? Are you adding in people that practice Celtic magic, Wicca, stuff like that? I'm just really curious on who they pulled in here. How did they figure out who to pull in that was going to spread it to the rest of the community? So we're going to go ahead and jump into this story, I guess.
Jason, I don't know if you saw this, but
I'm good, girl. How are you?
I don't even know if this is true. But apparently,
just talking about UFOs
there
and
were some
paranormal
people
stuff
from the government with inside knowledge that have asked a group of pastors to meet somewhere in the country, Tennessee. And they met to get briefed on, I don't know, lizard people. I don't know exactly what. Do you have this story? Have you looked into this?
Yeah, a little bit. So this started going around yesterday, and at first I dismissed it. I eventually started seeing it getting pushed all over the place. But apparently there was a, quote, large group of pastors. I looked a few of them up. Some of them are well-known evangelists that supposedly met at an Airbnb in the mountains of Tennessee where a
Okay, hang on just a second. Hang on. Send me a list of the pastors, because I probably know some of them, and I will call them.
Okay.
And find out. Okay, but go ahead. They met at an Airbnb.
Right.
Okay.
One of these pastors' name is Perry Stone. So he put a video out on X yesterday, or on YouTube. And I'll just read you a quote that kind of summarizes it. He said, quote, "I'm not going into great detail, but there were a large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state. to hear some men in the U.S. government and others share with them a concern that they had. The concern revolved around, quote, some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly part of our planet and materials that are made are not part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures and other things that almost sound like something of a sci-fi movie or H.G. Wells' book. And it sounds like they're gathering the pastors together to get a unified message so that when disclosures happen, that there's not, I don't know what, there's not, I know this has been discussed in UFO circles before, that there will be civil unrest amongst religious people, and how to control that has always been a question.
Wait. Among religious people? Don't you think if we found out that there are lizard people here, we would all be a little upset? Why is it just the religious people that are going to be like, I'm not going to stand for the lizard people in the shopping center? I mean, what?
Well, this is when you get this like specific claims, and I've actually talked to.
Honestly, I'm not sure. I definitely start like going down the rabbit hole, which is probably the worst thing, because I used to do that when I used to go down the dark web. Like my thought, because I've actually had experiences with demonic beings, and I started thinking of, like, when this was first coming out, I started thinking about the movie The Mist, and I was thinking, like, did they open a portal? Did they like tap into another dimension? And then you start thinking about, and you start trying to connect dots, you know. So then I started thinking about, I think it's called HARP or CERN, where they're messing with the black hole stuff, and I'm just like, did they open something they weren't supposed to, like the way they did in the movie, what is that called? The Event Horizon, where they ended up opening up something that took them to like a demonic dimension, you know? So I started thinking of all these things, and I'm telling you, I go down some crazy rabbit holes. Oh, you're thinking they're fallen angels? Like, maybe, because I believe in the book of Revelations, it talks about that the earth was going to become the new hell because God was going to come and take his chosen people away from here. So that would make sense, because wouldn't that be what's running around here on earth then at that point, if this is going to be considered the new hell? I mean, maybe. I'm not sure. I definitely want to know more. That's why I think I'm like kind of trying to investigate all this, because I'm just really, really curious about all of it.
About a documentary. The documentary is called Mirage Men. And I bring that up because at the very end of the documentary, they talk about one of the big specific claims that religious people might have a problem with, which understandably so. But one of the claims, or part of the disclosures, has always been rumored that the human race has been manufactured by extraterrestrials. That's one of the multitude of. And that's what they thought.
So wait. The people who claim to believe in Jesus Christ are going to go, well, now, wait a minute. The lizard people say they came up with all of that. And we're going to believe that?
Sounds like a psyop invented by atheists. What is going on in Tennessee?
I mean, as a Christian, the first thing that I would say is, if a lizard person was like, you know what, we came here long ago and we just made up this Jesus thing, first thing that would come behind me or come to mind would be, get behind me, Satan. I mean, that does not sound like something I go, no, well, wait a minute. That makes me question Jesus. It makes me question the lizard people.
So, well, Ricky, it's interesting. Ricky mentioned PSYOP, and there definitely seems like they're pushing to, I don't know, there's been a lot of talk of disclosure lately, and it definitely kind of I'm getting the PSYOP vibe on a lot of this. But David Grush was trending yesterday also on aliens. He was one of the big whistleblowers, and he was saying that disclosure is going to ramp up between the next 60 to 90 days. We've heard the White House talk about how they're going to release a lot of files. Kash Patel was just talking about the release of a lot of files. He said that, I think, yesterday, the past couple days. Something is coming from the White House. Whether it's a big nothing burger or not, I don't know. But
it's going to be a big nothing burger. There's no way the president... Look, can we just be logical here for a second? First of all,
you want to be.
The president knew that there were lizard people among us. Okay? Lizard people among us. Do you think he'd be like out there going, and by the way, oil?
See, when it comes to aliens, I'm still kind of like, I don't know. I'm still like iffy about it. Like, I've had experience with demonic, but and ghosts themselves. So I feel like those are real. And I always have that mindset of like, if there's good in the world, there's obviously going to be evil, because you need that yin versus yang kind of thing. But when it comes to aliens, I'm so unsure about that. And then I start thinking, because I'd be watching all these like stuff that where people are recording stuff, like on YouTube, on TikTok, and all that stuff, where you start talking about the grays and shadow people. And to me, shadow people are like demonic beings. That my personal opinion. But like aliens themselves, I don't think I've ever seen, physically myself. I've only had, like I said, one experience where, back in the 90s, I saw like something in the sky. I couldn't explain it. But that was like my only experience, aside from, like I said, hearing like trumpets, which was crazy in itself, because again, something I never thought I would experience. But as far as like little green men or like, any type of alien kind of thing, I've never come across that. Now, is it to say that it's not possible? I mean, anything is technically possible, because you have to think about all the different exoplanets that are out there. And you're going to definitely have maybe some beings that are way more advanced, and then you're going to have beings that are probably dumb as a box of rocks. So it could be possible. We just don't know, but if the government definitely has something on it, I would definitely want to know what they have, aliens from space. I mean, I think it's a possibility. I like look at stuff like when we watch, and I feel sometimes like our entertainment industry prepares us by sending us all these flicks so that they could mentally prepare us for things that are going to happen. But like, think about like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, War of the Worlds. I feel like those are things that are possible, but I think like probability wise, because you think of Occam's razor, I'm thinking like more than likely it's not going to happen, See, I agree that. I mean, that's how I feel.
Prices are going to come down. I'm working on the next election. We got to get out. He would be focused on is there a bigger story in all of mankind than we find out that aliens are among us? I don't think there's a bigger story.
No.
The whole of government would be gearing towards that, not, by the way, we got to bring our interest rates down, and we're going to work on some housing programs. And by the way, lizard people are here. And looks like the war in Ukraine. What did you just say? Yeah, lizard people are here. But let me tell you about the negotiations that are going on. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
There is a fortuitous timing to a lot of the alien talk. It always seems like when there's other large news out there or something that the government doesn't really want to talk about or something like that, we always seem to get a disclosure. It seems
or is it the government? These nameless leaks that are coming with people connected to the government. I'd like to know who the people connected to the government are.
Yeah.
Who are they? Who is doing this? This is, again, I mean, honestly, I would love to hear from Christians. I'd love to hear from you, because maybe a lot of people say I'm not a Christian, even though I've been saved and redeemed by Jesus Christ by accepting his atonement. Somehow are not a Christian. But I would love to hear from Christians who somehow or another this is going to shake your faith. I just don't believe that.
No, I don't think it would.
Oh, I believe in God until lizard people show up. And then I'm going to listen to the lizard people, and they're like, yeah, let me just tell you that we all came here a long time ago.
Illegal aliens.
Made up Jesus. Oh.
Yeah, I believe you can open portals.
That's shaking my
I don't think we should, but I know we can.
Sorry. Don't think so.
They do live among us, and Gavin Newsom and Nancy Pelosi. Do you remember? Do you remember Steve Deace's prediction on your TV show?
Yeah.
Here's the exact quote: "We're going to see at least one elected official claim to have directly communicated with non-human intelligence, and the amount of activity, psyop, whatever you want to call it, on the UFO, UAP, NHI front is ramping up." Now I'm suspicious about why Steve Deace knew that. Maybe was he in this Tennessee meeting? But
Is he a lizard person?
That's the better
He
question.
claims to be a Christian. Maybe he's a lizard person. Oh my God.
Let's see.
I mean, he stated that with such authority, though, too. And I'm not
Hopefully
saying that
it
he had inside
fixes itself.
information.
Yeah, I see
He
the
really, I mean,
the
because that
signal
was shocking coming from him.
and we all laughed. We're like, okay, Steve, and well, I guess maybe he was right. We're getting closer. Who do you think the politician would be that would announce that they'd had non-human intelligence?
It could be mine. That's what happens when I
I
live
mean, if
in
it's-
a
if
rural
it's-
area.
If it is,
And
look,
all of a
if
sudden
it's
a leaf
true-
comes down and disrupts.
Trump, because he's going to let somebody else be the star of that show.
Same.
No way. I mean, if he could, the spacecraft would have TRUMP flashing. It wouldn't be like, you know, the end scene of Close Encounters. It's not just lights. It would spell out Trump. It would spell out Trump. He would be the guy. If this is true, believe me, this is the biggest announcement in all of human
maybe
history.
they're like, we
It's
don't
not
want you
going
guys
be
to talk
just
about
leaked
this.
out. The
Talk
president,
about
the
your regular
president
stuff like protests.
would have to be the one. I
Same.
don't care who the president is.
I told you
the
guys
president
before.
would have
Last time
to be
I
the
tried to
one that
write
would
duck
break
and
to the
it wrote
American
it with
people
the
in
F
world.
word. And I was like,
You'd
oh
have to be-
Lord.
You're going to say, Marco, I know you're busy on like 80 different jobs. I need you to go out and talk to the people about the lizard people. I'm working on negotiations right now. No, it has to be the president. And there's no way. I don't believe it. And even if it's true, I don't believe this is going to shake the faith. I think this would bring faiths together. I think Christians and, well, at least Christians.
Well,
I mean, if
maybe.
you believe in the Bible, if you're like, I don't know, I'm thinking about it, then maybe you believe the lizard person. But if you believe the Bible, you believe in Jesus Christ.
I think
and
you'll
he's
be
worked
like, the
his
guys with the
atoning
signs were
power in
correct.
your life at
They
all.
have the
That's
signs
just
to say
not
the
going to
end is
shake.
near.
It's not. It's not.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just trying to have a fun night, guys, because like there's not much going on. I keep trying to check to see if we have any like stuff going on in regards to protests or anything like that, but I haven't seen anything. So it's like sad phase. I know that there's primaries going on in West Virginia, and I believe I think it was like what is it? North Dakota or something like that. But there's not much on that front right now. So I figured, you know what? We'll talk paranormal and aliens for once and conspiracies because I love talking about this stuff. So we have this from the Fox News. We are a turning point for UFOs. And it has that famous like doctor who's always on the History Channel with the guy with the funny hair too. So we're just going to jump into these videos and see where the night takes us.
Whistleblower says one of the missing scientists was in charge of a classified program related to UFOs. Now, we don't know what's going on, but the government's lied to us for decades about pretty much everything. JFK, lab leak, Epstein, Hunter's laptop, the Russia hoax.
Yep.
When we ask questions, they call us conspiracy theorists.
Yep.
But just like COVID, we might be right. Dr. Michio Kaku is a theoretical physicist. Doctor, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about this UFO release?
I would put it at a 10 because we're at a turning point. For decades, we had to rely upon eyewitness accounts of housewives, truck drivers. People would snicker and laugh at them. Now we're talking about huge files that are top secret that for the first time in modern history are being given to the American public. So I'd like to congratulate President Trump for having the nerve to go against recommendations by the FBI and the CIA to release these files so that independent researchers, scientists can go over them and we can make up our own minds rather than having the CIA make up our minds.
And the CIA apparently is still fighting the full release. When you hear or see about a UFO that goes like that, up, down, left, right, at 90-degree angles so fast you can't even believe it, what does that tell you?
It tells me that the laws of centrifugal force should crush the bones of the people inside the flying saucer. So either there's basically an automated flying saucer, so there are no bones to crack as the thing goes zigzagging left and right, or it represents a very high level of intelligence to create something like that. So in other words, we humans cannot get into a spaceship that goes zigzagging like that. Only aliens can, but even their bones would break. So it must be a very high level of automated computer technology.
And you're hearing these eyewitness reports from military officials, intelligence officials, 3.5 feet, 4.5 feet, small in stature. They can walk. Why does this seem to be the common description of alien life?
Well, we don't know until we have actual samples of this. That is, close encounters of the second kind. Not just visual hearsay, but real, authentic pound of flesh, the bodies, the wreckage of the flying saucers. That's close encounters of the second kind. That's what we need. And hopefully in these documents, we're going to find some evidence of that. Recovered aircraft of alien technology, the bodies, what have you. Hopefully in this mountain of declassified documents will be more than just, I saw something last night, dear. Maybe it's, hey, we have the body. We can do autopsies. We can look at the reverse engineer, the engine.
Yeah, it's probably China.
That would be the turning point. And I hope that these files make that possible for the first time in history.
There's reluctance to release everything because there's a competition between the Russians and the Chinese. There's an indication there could be a real fight for alternative energy sources. That could be tied into some of these missing scientists.
Yeah, I think a lot of people believe that they're not from outer
Well, I
space.
see the fact that countries have to get access to energy, and that's what we do at Los Alamos National Laboratories, Jet Propulsion Laboratories. Look at sources of energy, fusion, fission, maybe even antimatter. And perhaps that's the reason why these scientists disappeared out of thin air, or they died in very mysterious circumstances. Somebody wants that technology.
That technology is going to make someone very rich and very powerful. So you want the government to give you something, a sample, maybe a pound of flesh, so you can test it.
Well, that would be
You don't
ideal.
trust the government to test this stuff. You want independent scientists to get their hands on some things.
I would like to set up a scientific committee that has the know-how to do a dissection like that, to look at the DNA, if they have any DNA, and to find out exactly what their architecture is, whether it's parallel to our evolutionary development or there's another parallel development that we not even know about.
You probably liked dissecting the frog in science in 3rd grade, didn't you, Doctor? You did. You don't have to say it. It's okay. You sick man. Just kidding. Love you. Be sure to like and...
Yeah, yeah, a lot of people don't believe the moon landing. I think there's like a lot of stuff that came out that they were saying that it was proven to be false. And some people still kind of say like, no, it's real. That one I'm still like on the fence about because I would want proof of this. And it's like, it's hard for you to get proof without you physically yourself going there, you know? But I don't know how they would prove to us that space, like them going to the moon, is real. Like, I know back then, I don't think that it happened. Maybe nowadays with our tech, but I don't think like what in the 1950s or something like that when that supposedly happened. Yeah, I don't think that's even a thing. Yeah, I don't know. I love conspiracies though, guys. So we're just gonna keep down this train, go down this rabbit hole.
I was disappointed on Friday with this UFO disclosure. Even the new name bothers me, how we now have to call them UAPs and not
Yeah, that's
UFOs
stupid.
anymore. Like, guys, the name was fine. Just like they are still homeless people. They're not the unhoused. Democrats want us to call them the unhoused. They're homeless, okay? They don't have homes. They're homeless. On Friday, I realized that they are going to continue jerking us around until we stop asking questions, or until there's a new president. On Friday, we got 160
It's crazy because I think what is the Easter Island? They were saying that the heads of the statues, those were actually like the actual, like I guess, bodies of the giants.
out of the spacecraft when he was on
Yeah.
the moon. A quote.
I mean,
fairly bright
I
light
think stuff like
source
that is
from
possible,
Buzz
like
Aldrin. That's what
the
he said. They
giants. You
released
had
it.
the
Like, wow,
Amazons,
great. But while
and then
all
you
of
had
this
like
is happening
what
on
was
Friday,
that from the
on
Mummy
same
movie,
day,
the little
all that was being
pygmies? Like I
released,
think
our
all of
next
that could
guest
be
said
real.
this just down the street from the White House at the National Press Club.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, and this I want to be clear about, there are two governments. There's the government you know about, we elect and appoint. There's a shadow or secret government that is actually running this. And that is not a conspiracy theory. It's fact. We can prove it.
Okay, that is Dr. Stephen Greer, founder of the Disclosure Project, 25 years running now. Dr. Greer, great to have you back. So basically, you are saying that Donald Trump does not have all the information that he should have. Is that correct?
He has a great deal more than what was released, but he doesn't
Yeah,
have all
the
of it.
Easter
And
Island.
it's because of the compartmented nature in an illegal covert program that happened in the 1950s.
At least that's what my
We've been
dad
seeing
used to
this for
tell
30
me.
years. So what I understand, he's going to release more in various tranches.
And then when I was
every few
looking at,
weeks.
like I told you, I went down the rabbit hole in the dark web,
can
and I would
penetrate
find people talking
these,
about it, saying the same thing.
compartmented operations more fully. So I have a team of people working with them, but I think people should not think that the president can wave a magic wand and everything comes out.
Well,
but yes, they have a lot more than what has been shown. So I think this was sort of a testing of the waters. But our archive, the Disclosure Project archive.
I personally think we probably have a higher chance of Yellowstone going off than actually seeing a physical alien. At least that's my thought.
Like,
no one's more frustrated.
I'd probably put more money on Yellowstone.
I mean, look, I gave up my medical career.
What is so mind-boggling in these files that they don't want humanity to know about? And by the way, they don't have the right to make that decision.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think this is the real problem is. The reason we have the Disclosure Project is a check and balance against what the government does or doesn't do. But I think if people were at the National Press Club on Friday.
Now, if you guys have any good conspiracy videos or paranormal videos, drop them a link in the chat, and I'll definitely make videos on them because I love talking about this stuff.
We did one segment about it Friday night, but I was like, I can't go to air with this because this is a joke. I'm going to explode if I have to try to defend what was just released. Nothing was released. Let me ask you this. Who's in charge of this other government that doesn't answer to Donald Trump?
Well, there are various corporations and then compartmented operations within CIA.
Wouldn't it? I think Alex Jones was saying like the 7 richest families
that run these programs, but they're very highly compartmented. And the other problem is that there are people currently in top administrative posts in the intelligence community.
Don't forget to hit that like button, guys, and subscribe and share, please.
Videos. And so we're not going to getting a lot of.
I do. I probably have to read up on it again. It's been a while because I grew up in both Catholic and Christian church. Irony, right? But I don't think I've recently read through my Bible yet.
Dr. Greer, have you thought about that? Have you thought about that yourself? By the way,
I ain't gonna lie. My favorite book was Revelations, though.
Have been murdered or missing. Or, have you thought about that?
Of course.
See, that's the part that gets me is all the scientists that are connected in some sort of way that are missing or murked. Those are the ones where I'm like, my little brain and like my spidey senses are like going crazy with.
Currently, I know some of
yeah,
what he has.
No.
It's a lot more than
I was looking through the files and it's like basically what everybody's showing. There's like not much in there.
Interrupt you, and you and I are friendly off the air as well, but I just want to get this. What is it? What is coming that they?
But there's a lot of files to go through, so I'm still like kind of going through them.
Of an alien or something. When do we see what they have? When do we get the truth
have
about
videos
this?
and files of the craft up close, extraterrestrial, and the man-made ones, which are the dominant ones people see. And the big secret isn't the quote alien part; it's the covert programs using advanced reverse engineered technologies. And that's what even members of Congress I'm working with have been threatened for looking into.
Okay. See, great minds think alike.
But they don't want to talk about that.
Here's a couple of the photos that we got released on Friday. We were just showing them. I mean, I saw this stuff, and I was like, who took this? The same guy that filmed the Sasquatch thing from the 1960s? Like, oh, they're like, oh, look at that. That looks like something we saw in Egyptian hieroglyphics. I was like, no, it doesn't. That looks like an error through the camera or something. Like, what is, that's nothing right there. What? Okay. Let me just ask you this.
I agree with you.
You called Friday.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
Okay. And that a lot more is coming. So what specifically, besides what you just told me, do you think is coming? And why this like slow release of whatever it is?
Because there are people around him, like former aerospace.
My thing
CEO
is
Bob Iger,
like he
who
said, we have
said,
such good cameras. Why haven't we still caught like the abominable snowman or Sasquatches, like if they were real, you know?
Small release.
Like,
And I don't
I was talking to my dude about this when we were looking at stuff on the Ozark, and I was like,
president is at stake now, and I think it needs to be done properly and more quickly.
Yeah, so two things.
I was telling him like, oh, I wonder if they're the ones that are aliens and they have like some type of like electromagnetism that's coming off of them, radiating off of them, that's causing our cameras to glitch like that. Because I would think by now, with the cameras, phones we have, that we would find like really good footage by now. But it's always grainy, you know?
Only really happen when Donald Trump steps to a microphone like in the Oval Office and tells the public what's really going on. Because what we got Friday was a bunch of random videos of nothing, and everyone said, see, there it is, look at this, most transparent Oval Office ever. I don't even know what I'm looking at.
Well, no, I mean, actually, Project Blue Book in the 60s released better information. My archive has better photos, videos, and documents.
I have a disposable camera at home, undeveloped, that has better photos of something.
Absolutely. And so this
That's
is why
possible. I know there were also some of them that were merged that had like created or like made like fusion technology and other types of technology. And they were probably like, yeah, we're not going to let you guys get this out right now. So they're just like,
and so I think you're right. I think we need to demand that they not try to gaslight us on this.
Well, just be honest with us. Don't tell us you're going to do one thing and then release that in a four-word quote from Buzz Aldrin saying, "We saw a fairly bright light." Thanks, Buzz. Great stuff. Dr. Greer, good to see you as always. You're tip of the spear on this stuff, and I really.
Well, since there's not much going on tonight, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, guys. I hope you guys have a great night. I want to thank you guys for watching. Don't forget, I already said all that. But you guys have a good night. Talk to you guys tomorrow.